I guess we'll talk about how to be hot. Um, so I was kind of thinking about like a few different uh sections to this because like it's kind of a vague question, so I have a few interpretations that I think um could be helpful for people. So one is like how do I help recognize things about me that are hot already? Because like everybody is very insecure about like a lot of stuff because there's like a very narrow view of like what is and isn't attractive in like popular culture. And so to get away from that is to like embrace, and like this is why it's important to have like, you know, diverse representation and stuff in general, is because you can like recognize yourself. And like if somebody is on TV, like they're gonna like look good, they're gonna have makeup and stuff, and if they're not forced to play a caricature of themselves, then they're going to like just be a regular person, you know? So allowing to see like, oh, here's the fancy TV version of, all these different groups. Yeah, it might be a bit more polished because it's TV, but it will just, show more people and more avenues of like, oh, like that's a good thing. And for me, since I'm like very tall and thin and stuff, there's a lot of examples for me to pull off of. But honestly, like um, something that core, core, something that she hopped up on top of the fridge because I moved the lamp for better lighting. Um, Finding people who like have traits that you have, or um, that like represent like different parts of you, who you can look at and be like, oh yeah, this person's cool, or oh yeah, this person like is super hot or super pretty, or you know, like there are people who are a lot like you who have found like how to be really confident in themselves, because like of course there is. And with how everybody is online, you can find um someone a bit like you who um will show you like um at least one way of doing something. You might take it in a completely different direction. But it'll show you sort of a reference point at the very least. Um, so that's kind of the how to figure or find the things about yourself that are attractive that maybe you haven't seen shown in other places up until this point. Um, and depending on like how well like this um how well um these features are like shown in media, and like how um like stereotyped they are and stuff like that, like uh it'll really kind of make it harder or easier to like be able to find that. But I promise you, like everybody has like somebody that they can look to who will show them like how to be hot in the way that you like have the confidence and have the self assertive like way of carrying yourself, because that is very important. But it can also be hard to like figure out like, okay, well, what is a way that is um maybe um what are ways that have worked out for people already? Because if you just kind of take and graph like how um like I uh depending on where you are and depending who's interacting with you, it can be really hard to be like, oh, this person's confident, I'm just gonna do what they do. Because sometimes you like, depending on how you look, you get treated differently. Because like, oh, you don't quite fit the part. And so then people have this social bias for this behavior to such an extent where um and sometimes this is like you can do this on purpose. Like it's whatever your sort of goal is for your self-expression. But if you want to be like a little bit more safe because it's like something you haven't tried before, then like figuring out what has worked for other people lets you um, have that sort of more general starting point that might not be as conflicting um, or stressful. Um, so then the other parts is just like maintenance, basically, and that is like, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is like for people who have been doing it for a while, like this is mundane or whatever. But like you have to understand the way that people are is like we all have our talents in one area or another. So if you say something that is obvious to somebody who's talented in that field, even if they don't actively look out and like practice and stuff like that, they just kind of have an ear for it, to use that phrase. They just kind of have a feeling of it and they kind of like think about it, and it's in the back of their head. Then like yeah, some of the stuff is like obvious, but like once again, having that starting point and having those points of reference for people where it's like less obvious for them and there's less chances for it to become obvious because they didn't get to see examples of the things that would make it easier for them to um like feel hot and feel confident and feel self-expressive. Um or have a role model to look up to. That's I should have used that word instead of rambling as much. Um, so then the other parts, of course, is maintenance and stuff like people talk about wanting to like exercise, and you know, exercising is great. It's a fun thing to do. For me personally, I did a lot because it helped a lot with like being able to think because I have really bad ADHD. So like I found, oh, if I exercise, like I have a clearer head and stuff like that. And so I kind of use that to like, um, and I was lucky. I started into like karate when I was like 10 or something, and it was fun. But so people try to get into exercising, and they're like, I want to feel the results. I want to exercise. I want to look closer to how I want to look. You know, um, put some muscle on here, put some definition on here, something like that. And like, it's great to have a goal. Like that's excellent. But you have to understand that um, unless you kind of have a like a lean into it, like you have a like you start swimming and you love swimming and so then you swim all the time, or you have like a little thing of weights, or like you have a suitcase and you watch YouTube videos about how to do proper form, and you like lift the suitcase full of stuff and that's like 50 pounds, like like whatever ways that you can kind of figure out how to put together a routine. If it's just fun to do it, then like go ahead. But like for me, especially because I really struggle with focusing, is like okay, um, I I hated running like the mile or whatever, like running around outside, especially if it was like hot out or something, and and they're like rating you on how quickly you can finish the mile, and it's like, isn't there a whole like, you know, don't measure a fish by how well it can climb a tree? Like, haven't people been talking about how like just I'm complaining. It can be really mundane to like just exercise because that's stripping away all of like the fun and the interest and stuff. Like whether it's an activity that you already know a bit about, and you just want to get back into it, like that's great. Figure out a sort of schedule or thing with that. Or if it's something new, there are tons of tutorials online on YouTube where you can look up that thing, whether it's like martial arts or like full body exercises, like um, and I'll probably put some links and stuff in the description. I think I'll definitely do that because I have too many and I need to show them. Um, but you can go through and you can find any type of exercise that seems interesting to you. And if you have, like, even when I wasn't in like karate and stuff, and I was just like in my room all day reading, sometimes I'd get bored and I would, do push-ups against the bed or something like that, just because I was so bored and I'd already kind of established a habit of like exercising a bit. So if you have like a routine that you can make, especially if you're learning something, because learning is really like learning is like as rewarding as eating. So like going into food and stuff like that, whether you want to like eat more or eat less, or like it can be really really hard to do that because you can be really like focused into specific routine. There can be limitations to the food that you have and access to like healthy things like that. And if you're able to like take the time and like just you know watch YouTube videos, like if you're in the car for a bit, or um yeah, if you're on the like if you're in the car on the way to work or something like that, or if you're waiting for something in the morning, like find a couple food YouTuber people and just kind of have them in the background and just kind of occasionally notice. Like you don't have to focus on what they're saying and stuff. You can like um but just kind of be like you'll start hearing stuff in the back like, oh, acid and salt, and it's like, oh, if I put a little bit of lemon juice on something, it might taste a bit better. Like it'll tell you, or like how to um make like batches of food, which it's a bit of work, but like, oh, if you make like a big stew or something like that, and you have a bunch of like bread or tortillas or something, or I guess that's a bit heavy, but like if you have something to eat it with, to pair it with, um, you can just like, have a stew and occasionally like make yourself a bowl of stew and, eat that with some like steamed vegetables like that you microwave or something like, or, and steamed vegetables are gross, but like maybe if that's gross for you, you could like put them in a pan with a little bit of oil and like stir fry them and with some salt and pepper. Now you have cooked vegetables and some stew, and like that's a pretty hearty sort of thing. Um, Having stuff like um, like a bit of fruit in the morning, because like the sugar for me like helps wake me up and stuff like that. So I'll have like some applesauce or something, like just something that won't rot, something that I can have like a big box of fruit thing. And yeah, it's pure sugar, but it's better than a bowl of cereal, or it's better than um, a Pop Tart or something like that. And that's another thing with food is, sometimes I'll like get some soda and stuff like that, but really I try to like only drink water like as much as I can. Um, and because having a diet that's mostly sugary drinks is like I get how helpful sugary drinks are, because I actually will drink a bit of like lemonade or Gatorade or something, because and like sip on it, because like the glucose will help like focus in your brain and stuff like that. And for people who might have more energy to focus, it's fun to drink something sweet. Like yeah, it might be more casual. So, but like kind of taking note of like how much sugary stuff you're drinking, even like fruit juices have tons and tons of sugar. Just like saying like, oh, can I choose to drink a little bit of water, and like make it easier to have water. Like maybe have like a I know hydro flasks are out of fashion, but like have a thing of like a plastic jug of water that you have in the fridge or something like that, that you fill up, and then you just can have, like, if you're sitting at the computer and just drink from the jug of water, like, and it can be as clean of water as as you enjoy. So it doesn't have to be like a jug of tap water. It can be filtered and stuff if you have that. Um, and stuff like, and I mean, I'll say this, but I have like gummies and crackers and stuff. But I've been trying to eat more, so I'll have like, I'm like, okay, this isn't the healthiest like sort of thing to snack on, but I want to at least be eating more sort of thing. And if I'm like really like this is not gonna feel good to eat, then like I can put in a little bit more work to eat something a bit healthier. Although it can become really easy to snack. Um, so it's just good to be aware of that and good to have things around you that are healthy. Like a thing like I used to have a in my backpack um, like shell peanuts in the shell. And I just would like snack on them and eat them all day and stuff because it's just like this big bag and they were salty and they were interesting and stuff like that. So I could like chew on them. Um, although there was this kid in my um, class when I was doing this who had like a jar of peanut butter and was like eating that. But they were trying to like lift weights and stuff. So, but yeah, if for whatever you want to do, like see if you can find some stuff that you can at least put on in the background. And I know if it's the end of the day and you're really tired, like you can't do that. But like in the beginning of your day where you have like a bit of extra time, or um, like if there's like an opportunity where you can like have 5 minutes where you can dedicate that 5 minutes to just like doing like thinking about whatever it is you really want to work on, like it's going to be that 5 minutes, but it's also going to be in the back of your head for the rest of the day to some extent. And the more interesting of a thing it is, the more it'll be in the back of your head. So if you find like a really good, like you spend like one night where, okay, you could be like lounging, but you do a little bit of like research and you find like this really good food YouTuber who has cooking that seems like it's not too hard and something you enjoy. Once you've now found that enjoyment, you can put on their videos during those 5 minutes and kind of like have it in the back of your head some of the stuff that they talk about. And when you start doing it, you're not going to get it perfect, especially if you're super busy or you don't have all the right stuff to do it exactly right. But like just taking those like steps um, where you like try it cooking something, try putting something together. Like if somebody has like this really nice pasta thing, and but like you used like I've spoiled myself. I'll cook down the sauce and stuff first before mixing it into whatever stuff I'm cooking from like canned whole tomatoes because it just tastes better. So that's me being spoiled. But like if you have a bit of like pasta sauce, some ground beef and some taco meat or some taco seasoning, and like you can make you know tacos with tomato sauce and like some rubber noodles. Bless you. You're okay. This is why it's important to drink water. You're okay. Um, if you have all of that stuff, uh, you can mix it together with like some noodles, some like elbow noodles or something, and like shred some cheese, or put some pre-shredded cheese in, and like taco meat, pasta, tomato sauce, cheese. Like that's it's pretty tasty and doesn't take too long. Um, so you can, and for me, since I had a hard time with food and was more picky, I got more into like working on the skills to make it like a little bit fancier and stuff because I have the time to do that. Um, but if you're less picky, like you could easily put together a lot of recipes that are, not perfect, but a lot closer to like a nice meal without having to craft everything yourself. Because like hobbyists love, love, love getting into the details and crafting and stuff like that, and it really does help. But if you want to like be able to do it in a busier schedule and you're not a hobbyist, you just appreciate the things that the hobbyists like put together, you can still do that. That's still like I highly recommend doing that. So yeah, I think those are all of the things at least that I do. And also like no, yeah, no, that's everything that I do. Is I notice other people who can show me ways to appreciate things about myself. I find information from like YouTubers and stuff about cooking and eating and stuff that helps me um, nudge my diet and nudge the way that I exercise and stuff to be a bit healthier. And I've had hobbies where it's something really fun and really interesting where I have it in the back of my head so I can actually pick up this information and use it. So yeah. Um, Thank you for watching and see you next time then.